I don't think he's picking that ULLR to just dominate lane matchups. I think he wants to get farm, wants to get online, rotate out, and just, you know, W key. That's kind of the play style anyways, so that's what I would expect from him. There is potential for solo kills, but it's few and far between. It's all about getting aggressive before the itemization catches up with you, before this Poseidon or Raijin gets tanky.
We'll have to see how that shakes out, and again, like if it's going to be a Poseidon or a Raijin, we'll jump into Game 2 with the casters.
We'll have to see where all these picks end up landing for Game 2 between the Warriors and the Kings. I'm gonna say not, because it's not like he was doing like 0-4 kind of games. But I believe the last time that he did play the ULLR, he had a fantastic, stellar performance on a Game 1, absolutely blowing everybody out of the water. And then the next game, it was kind of almost like he just existed in solo lane.
Yeah, that's kind of the SoloOrTroll coin flip you have. Some games he'll go absolutely insane and he'll kind of carry you. Next game, maybe he starts going insane and then he starts running it a little bit, starts playing a little over-aggressive. And I think one of the games he was actually 7-0 at one point and ended the game like 8-5 after kind of dying a little bit too much late game. But I still think ULLR solo is something I'll happily put SoloOrTroll on, because it's just the chance of him giving you a win is so high on this character. The playmaking potential, the 1v1 potential. I would not be surprised if Solo has 2 kills before this hits level before Variety hits level 5. Like, there is potential for that, and that's how good Solo is on this character.
You can already see he wants to kind of keep that potential up. Starting to throw damage over towards Variety and the Wave. We'll switch back over to the Axe Stance, waiting for that cooldown to come back up before he tries to jump in and get aggressive on the Wave. He can both poke Wave and Variety. That's a win. Axos gets the beads, immediately hits him with a full combo in bow form. But Variety, fast beads, gets him out. And not as much damage to Variety as you would have thought with that combo yet.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is pretty mediocre, and then you have the Vamp Shroud, you have the little trinket, tiny trinket, whatever it's called. You're going to be healing up that small bit of poke that ULLR does early, but that's beads down. That's potential for Panatom to just walk over, get a wall, get a free kill. So I think that's worth for Solo, even though he doesn't trade all too well. It is just a free beads, essentially, at that point. So I like that he goes for that. Also, a lot of beads in this game. 8 beads. The only ones opting for non-beads are those supports, which is, I mean, pretty common. Sometimes you'll see that, but both junglers rotating over to duo.
Panatom leading the charge with Captain Twig hot on his heels. Panatom trying to steal away the shield buff if he can. Captain Twig doesn't get the stun, and so it's able to get stolen away by Panatom, and now Quig is in danger. Wall should be up for Panatom, but instead just goes in with the hammer. Maybe it didn't put a point in it this time. So could have been a potential kill, but instead the damage just keeps Quig poked out.
Also, I'm pretty sure Twig's Acorn Blast left the shield camp with 1 health. I think it was that close, or maybe it was like 7 or something. It was a small number, but Quig very low on left side. Does pop the med, getting a little bit healthier. One barely off the mark by Netroid. Panatom is here, but that's sustained by Hell. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time, but she'll be back to half health in no time.
Panatom's going to go back. Captain Twig spots him out. Won't let him leave for free, but not really going to pick a fight. Not necessarily one that he wants to take. It's just to walk by, let him know, hey, I can see you. You should probably back somewhere safer. And Panatom does just that. Go back and get that tier 2 mace. Meanwhile, Captain Twig on the tier 2 Acorn for the time being. And going to go ahead and steal a green buff. Pagon dealing with the Wave. Some of the early struggles of the Tiamat. Not the best at the Wave clear. Means he's going to lose out on a buff.
Yeah, I mean, especially comparing it to Raijin. And curious, a lot of the times we see this Raijin in mid, it's not a Vamp Shroud. It's just the Sands of Time into Book, Breastplate, but actually opting for a Vamp Shroud. So maybe that means maybe Big Man goes for a slightly more defensive mid lane build, maybe something in the vein of that solo lane build. Also, I would expect the Typhons if you go this Vamp Shroud, but maybe it is a slight switch up with his build in mid.
We do see 5s now achieved for solo laners. Not quite going to see those kills we were maybe expecting over on the right-hand side. See a fight over the shield camp once more. Does get secured by the Camelot Kings. It's not enough damage from the Warriors to take that one away. It's keeping the gold even. XP bouncing a little bit in favor of the Camelot Kings, and a lot of that afforded by Big Man Tings, level 6 versus the 5 of his lane opponent Pagon. It's keeping the Camelot Kings afloat in XP. Variety wall and bead down. Kraken in response gets beads from SoT. So now no relics for either of the solo laners, but all Panatom's got to do is this: sit inside the fire giant and wait for Variety to step out of tower.
And both of these junglers gank solo lane incredibly easily, and it's pretty free. It's not like they have to overextend and dive like some gods have to. So I'd expect big contention. Maybe next blue buff blue buff spawn is where the fight is going to break out. But Kraken is now down for a little bit, and when you have these matchups in solo lane where one's a stance switcher and one's not, that's kind of a big cooldown along with those relics to keep an eye on. So when Variety's ultimate comes back up, I think that's when maybe the Kings will look to be a little bit more aggressive.
Wave to wave between the dual lane. Big man Tings. Tings will get damage against Pagon. Wants to try and stop this back if he can, but not going to step into tower to do so. Still, one level up for BMT in the mid lane. Book of Thoth now online for both of the mid laners. It is stack advantage slightly for BMT. Wall hammer, not enough. Captain Twig going to try and steal away and successfully takes away the Shaman Camp experience. Totem Mask will still at least go the way of the Oni Warriors, but denying farm bit by bit, keeping some of that XP away from Pagon, away from Panatom. It's buying time for Variety. He's got 90 seconds now until those beads come back up. Ultimate from Netrioid. It's a fight over shield buff. Throws out the ores for a bit of extra damage, but that's a hefty ultimate to use for that one. Beads from Panatom and from Captain Twig. So now every set of beads down on the right side while it's a potential 1v1 solo up in the mid lane. BMT, Thunder Crash in. Knockup is there by Pagon. Needs every shot, needs one more in hand, but Big Man Tings, he can't get the Raiju to land. And instead it's gonna be a turn and burn on the right side. Captain Twig, first blood against Panatom, and maybe more against SOT. Twig's got ultimate. He can jump right off of the branch onto SOT. Axe toss is there. The Whirlpool team's going around. SoT turns out for one, but Variety needs one more. The totem. Since the Bastion buying some time for SOT. Variety though gonna try and take a tower shot, and it's a trade out, a double for SoT, but 4 dead on the right side.
Wow, what a 2v2. That was so interesting to watch. Maybe an ability missed here, an ability missed there, but other than that, pretty clean by both sides. But, I mean, a big part of that is, look at Panatom's level. He just ticked over to level 6. Captain Twig was level 6 that entire fight. That is probably a big part of that 2v2 and why it goes in favor. Captain Twig able to put out a lot more damage than Panatom is at that point. Also, Rat had full Acorn there, and full Acorn in those early games fights is an incredible amount of damage.
Also, why did Variety just walk into tower?
He juked in a tower.
He sidestepped an auto and went, oops, that's a tower. That probably did 3 times more than a basic attack would have at that point. And in fact, Variety, not content with the 2-for-2 trade on the right side, elects to not fully upgrade his lifesteal item. Instead goes for the breastplate. Captain Twig and Panatom again on the left side of the map this time. These two junglers are just ping-ponging between the two side lanes. They're just letting BMT and Pagon do their own thing. Focus is everywhere else, and as it should be. The action is with Variety and SoT once more. Variety better into the trade. Vamp Shroud plus that Enchanted Trinket keeping him sustained up.
Yeah, and looking at the junglers, I think Twig is just looking and playing a lot more comfortable than Panatom is. Panatom throwing out that wall almost instantly a lot of the times, and it's just not that close. But we've seen this before in the character, and it's something where mid-game, all it takes is an ability here, ability there, and then you just start getting hot, you start feeling yourself, and you start hitting everything. But so far, Panatom on this door, not looking that great.
Variety takes a little bit of damage, but as mentioned, decent lifesteal. Keeps him alive and healthy from any of the pokes that SoT has thrown his way so far. Haven't seen too many axe tosses connect just yet from SoT. We saw the one on a Captain Twig that allowed SoT to get the turn and burn right at the edge of the tier 1 tower. But in the kind of immediate solo match, really the only big axe toss we saw was that very first one at that level 2, level 3 point that got the beads. Outside of that, hasn't really seen too much from SoT just yet.
Kind of just farming up a little bit. Talked about this kind of a little bit last game when Yarkor was on it. Panatom actually taking a lot of damage, does get the hammer out. No chase it seems, but a lot of burst on a Panatom. But we talked about this a little bit last game with this ULLR. ULLR's not really that much of an early game character anymore. he's fine early game. He's got some CC, some damage, but you're mostly playing him for that mid portion spike and then that late game spike when you get that blue stone. Because we saw it last game. Yarkor, when he got that full crit build going, he was one-shotting.
Well, he was swinging. Might be a while before we see SOT swing to the same degree. For the Oni Warriors, thing looking cold though, 1,000 up. For the Camelot Kings, over the Oni Warriors. Variety jukes out the axe from SoT once more, but Variety might be willing to take this fight, having that defense online. Gonna benefit him in that 1v1 matchup. Where SoT, on a character like this, you know, typically we look at the mages and go, okay, mage, assassin, warrior, they're probably gonna build some defense in their kit, guardians as well. Pretty much Hunter the only class that you're not really wanting to build defense as a solo laner. So, might be a while, if ever, that we see SoT try and counter build up against Variety's damage.
To be fair, if we did see it, I feel like Breastplate ULLR doesn't make the least amount of sense, or it makes enough sense where, like, yeah, maybe if you're fighting against 4 physicals, you'd build into that. But I mean, building into 3 magicals, all of them are mage characters, an assassin, a hunter. Breastplate's not going to make a ton of sense, and I don't think we're going to be expecting to see a Shoguns or a Genjis, especially on like an ULLR. I think ULLR in a game like this probably just wants to build full damage, look for that one-shot potential like we saw Yarkor go for. Curious if he goes for the crit build again or more of a crusher type thing. Hits the axe, a lot of damage on the Variety. Is it enough to kill? I think he has to hit the next axe, and cooldown must be a little bit low, but Variety happy to take that trade right now. I think he's just going to do one more wave and then back for that Pythax.
Really pray for SoT's keyboard. Last time I interviewed him, he said, yeah, my hand's not doing so hot, my keyboard's not feeling real good right now. It's a bit of a tough time with all these ULLR games. Throwing another one. Might just need to get him a new keyboard after this one. Oh, he does already still have to pay the ticket that he got. Has to pay to get his new tags for his car and everything like that, so he's already got a lot. Might not have to be about to get the keyboard at this point. Captain Twig, though, gonna try and make a point in mid lane. On the top of Pagon is good. Big Man takes the Thunder Crash in. Pagon, he's gonna go into the ultimate. He uses the Aegis, but the drums are weighted out, and Big Man Tings will strike in mid. Level 14 now for the Raijin. Beacon up in 50 seconds, but it's the Camelot Kings with their 3rd kill.
Again, great setup by Twig there. Pulls the beads, dashes out, gets enough damage out, and it's pretty free pickup there for Big Man Tings. And looking at jungle, still a 2-level lead in jungle for Twig. And when I think of how hot and cold Twig has kind of played this phase, Rack's that character that, like, I keep coming back to where he looks fantastic on this character.
Rats look great. The Lancelot, the Hun Bats, he's really kind of solidified himself with those 3 picks. Variety to try and steal red. This is how you know you've got a confident solo laner, where he hasn't gone down, he hasn't died yet to his immediate 1v1 opponent. And no matter how confident SOT has been playing, Variety knows that he can still walk up and throw out those Kraken. He's got a hefty chunk of cooldown already afforded to him. Invade towards speed buff, success for the Oni Warriors. Quig in danger, the Sanctified Field is there, and Quig can't walk out. He gets the cleanse just in time to give him the immunity. Yarkor crashes down from the sky on his snipe, not getting the damage he was hoping for. The Oni Warriors now playing a bit more confident enemy lines.
And with Beacon up, we saw this fight happen last time, and the Warriors were winning a little bit early, and it seems like they won enough in that fight that they're just going to be giving it up for free. But last time, the Hell Sustain just did a lot, but it looks like a collapse in mid.
Captain Twig off the tree, dumps only on the Panatom. Does manage to get the beats from Netrua, but that's a tier 1 tower now for the Oni Warriors. We do see Variety looping around. Not sure if anybody has spotted him just yet. SoT walks up, gets slowed down by Quig, and immediately backs away. Variety reveals himself from the jungle. With that invade, with that small little skirmish, and the beacon, the Oni Warriors close up the gold lead a bit. Only 500 now between these 2 teams, with the Camelot Kings, even with vision in the pit. For the Oni Warriors, it's the Kings who are pulling the objective. Yarkor is nearby. Ultimates still available. Kraken for secure, but it doesn't secure anything but fresh air. It's the Gold Fury to the Oni Warriors. SoloOrTroll steals it away.
Kraken's just not the secure we think it is.
It really isn't.
It's just not the secure. Well, why try to Kraken when there's Hail of Arrows available on the ULLR? You gotta try to force that out first. even after losing that Gold Fury, Pyro also goes over to the Warriors, but they're going to be trading out this left tier 1 tower for the Kings. Still, huge advantage for the Warriors. Gold Fury, tier 1, Pyro, Beacon. That's 4 wins for just that tier 1 tower on the left side. And actually, it's something I want to talk about, because nothing's going to be happening for a little bit. Everything's off the map. Maybe a tier 1 in mid, but that's just about it. It's interesting to me when Hell picks up Med, or any character picks up Med into ULLR run, because it slows the tick of Med. So instead of every 0.5 second, or every 0.5 you get 1.5, it's then like cut in half.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't tick as much.
Yeah, it takes longer for it to go through.
In that fight in mid, he actually almost died because it was ticking so slow and the heal wasn't coming through fast enough. I just thought it was interesting watching that, and it's something I didn't have time to bring up until now.
Yeah, it's one of those small mechanics you don't really think of whenever it comes down to a god like Hell, or I guess in this case a god like ULLR run with ultimate like that. Time dilation is just such a cool mechanic.
It's so
in
interesting.
Smite. It's no fun to play into, but it's a really cool one to theoretically just, you know, talk about, discuss, and see what all of it does affect. Just like how Variety now has to walk back to tier 1 tower. As Genetics has made a far rotation over to the right side of the map. Twig is nearby as well. Captain Twig does have ultimate, will break the ward. So SoT and Genetics now know that there is a jungler nearby. And speaking of junglers, I think that was the next point I wanted to go towards. We had a 2-level deficit by Panatom. Now even with Captain Twig nearly taken down. Damage from SoT really ringing in. Duncan from Panatom, wall connect. The double tap wasn't there, but the hammer poured in after one. Genetics gives Panatom the revive. He used it under the tower. Pagon dives deep and takes down Variety. Thunder crash in by BMT and Yarkor. Full HP on the ROM. Goes up into the sky for the snipes. It's towards Pagon. Gets 2, needs the 3rd and more, but it's not enough damage. Instead, it's a turn to Quig. Double kill for Pagon. And the Oni Warriors have gotten a 3 for none.
And that is a 5v4 fight. The Kings were 5 strong here. Net has not rotated, not thought about rotating, and they just wiped them, well, not wiped them, but they 3 for 0'd them at the exact same time. Net is actually hitting this tier 2 tower. Panatom reset and is walking out of base to go help him in left lane. Yes, they get a tier 1 tower in right, but when you send 5 people there to match 4, you need to do better than trading 3 for 1 tower.
Metroid makes the 1-1 trade on tower, but as mentioned, Oni Warriors went out in the fight during all of that. 3-0 for themselves. And going back to what I was starting at before that fight, the jungler deficit. It was a 2-level lead for Captain Twig. And then at that 9 versus 11, Panatom closed back to 11. Twig still keeping it slightly up. But now Panatom is the one who actually hits 14 before Captain Twig. So all it really felt like was that one green buff invade goes right for the Warriors. And now Panatom feels like he's got the confidence back on the Thor.
Yeah, and he hit that nice wall double tap combo. And then he gets the Kepriel to actually survive and respawns back in. And now, with all these cooldowns coming back up, ultimates, relics coming up in about 60 seconds, we've got Gold Fury and Pyro spawning. And last time we saw it, it was the Kings enforcing a Gold Fury fight, saying, come match us. The Warriors don't match, trade out that Pyro. And instead, SoloOrTroll just gets the secure. So now, curious if the Kings are going to try to play it the same way, if they want to maybe force the Gold Fury. They have the sustain, so trading is always going to be good. Trading, you know, health, especially with Beacon also spawning. But this is kind of going to be a big setup for the next objectives.
Double tap by Panatom, not give much. Pagon jumps away from the Camelot Kings. We start to see a group up around Beacon. Twig gets connected. Lots of damage from Panatom, but the Camelot Kings control the Beacon because where in the last fight, Netroid was nowhere to be found. This time it's SoT split pushing. Right side, tier 1 tower. Now, rotation from Variety for a moment, but instead the Kings, they might just go towards Pyromancer. SOT now rotating in. It's a frenzy pop to try and secure that one. The Camelot Kings do get the Pyro, but what about the fight after? Variety's at half health. A crit from SOT does some good damage to Variety. Captain Twig, where will he dunk down in? Panatom in response, doesn't find the dunk target he was looking for, but walls off the rest of the team. Stun on the Panatom by Captain Twig. He's trying to turn this one around, but there's a revive comes through from Genetics. It keeps him alive, and Pagon is now turning this one back in. Needs the damage after, and he gets it. That's 1 for him and 1 for his teammate. 2 down on the Camelot Kings, while Netroid and Genetics zone out another, and Quig left to the wolves. It's SOT with another kill. And now Captain Twig, wall, not enough damage. Panatom not going to be able to get that kill. Just another 3-0 for the Warriors.
And such an easy beginning start to that fight with how much they outtraded. Netroid actually flanked at the speed buff to pick up the kill onto Variety and actually zoned out Tings at the same time. And all through that, no Fire Giant yet. They opt to reset, get to full health, and then come back out of base. But it looks like Fire Giant going to be the call right here. No Frenzy, but no one's really alive on the King side, and if they are alive, they're nowhere near this fire.
Fire started. Big Man Tings is the only one who could get there, and Panatom's just going to walk up menacingly towards him and keep him away from the objective. Oni Warriors, 19-minute Fire Giant will keep themselves active. 4,700 gold up, 4K, or I should say 4K gold, 4,700 XP, and a Runic Bomb for Pagon on the push. Gotta note, Camelot Kings did get that last Pyromancer, but because the fight started up almost immediately, didn't get a chance to pick it up and make use of it at all. So now it's the only Warriors. They drop a Runic Bomb, Kraken hits a couple. Captain Twig splits the uprights this time, has to dash back at BMT. He's not going to get a lot of value from his ultimate. Wall from Panatom now to the sky. Where will his dunk be? He's got a few great targets. He misses Variety, but he gets Quig and Yarkor. Quick cleanse and beads to try and keep themselves alive. But Phoenix was the goal for the Warriors, and they get just that.
And SoloOrTroll is doing the same build that Yarkor had last game. The amount of damage that you are able to put out on this ruler with this build, even at this point, 4 items, not even having the finish Deathbringer, the finish starter, he is half-healthing anybody who gets hit by an ability into an auto. The auto attack cancels, it's just, the damage is just insane.
I mean, he did, what was that, 540 to a buff camp? Now, I know a buff camp's weaker than a god, but when you're not even full build, no upgraded Bluestone, no Deathbringer, the Hydra's 540 whatever damage, that's it pretty hard. I don't want that to be me. I pray that I'm not that minion that's getting hit by that damage.
Me too.
God,
Me too. That would be pretty scary.
that would hurt. Can you imagine getting hit for that much damage? And like in real life, someone
How
just
much
comes
would
up.
that damage be? Like,
Well-
how much is 600 damage? Is that like how do you quantify it?
It's like somebody broke your arm.
But no, I wouldn't want to get my arm broke then.
How do you equate like in-game health to real-world health? Like how many hit points do you think you're worth?
Well, minions are like trained soldiers, and I'm not a trained soldier, so I probably have like 200.
Minion. Oh no, it's doomed for us. This is the momentum that the Oni Warriors in Game 1, though, were hoping that they could have had up against the Camelot Kings. 2 fights, both of them go 3-0, even if they don't necessarily get the objective they were looking for. Now the Oni Warriors with fire on all 5, group up on the left side, Tier 2 tower down, only 2 Tier 2 in mid left to defend, or it could just be another Phoenix. Whirlpool used up. Tiamat Lizards has extra minions to walk in, but didn't get a whole lot of damage yet. Instead, done onto SOT wall by Panatom. Only hits Quig this time. But Captain Twig's had to go back to base. It opens up a chance for the Phoenix. Ultimate used by Big Man Tings, but it doesn't get a whole lot of value. Quig goes in, finds a stun on top of 2, gets a sanctified field and a crack response. Metroid's alive for now. The snipe from Yark got to be on point. It doesn't matter though. Genetics has thrown his revive on top. Captain Twig dumps onto 2, but dashes back. The Phoenix still alive through it all, but might not be for much longer as Panatom goes up to the sky, zones out Twig and Variety, and allows the left bird to fall.
And that looked like it was going in favor of the Kings for most of that fight, but they just don't have that all-in potential. If it's not Twig kind of going in and cleaning up or one-shotting someone, feels like the Kings just don't have an opportunity to kill, and this Kepri is really providing a lot of safety.
BMT, no ultimate, has his relics and uses the beads just to get out, but SOT might not be done. Axtos hits Captain Twig, but he missed the damage follow-up after, and it's Pagon diving to the bird. Throws down the tornado to chase out Quig, while Captain Twig's got to dash away from Panatom, who's just going to keep up this chase. Bubble is back up for Captain Twig, but he's got a long way to run to get away from the Warriors.
No Fire Giant up. Pyro seems to be the call by the Warriors. They got left Phoenix. They've got right Phoenix. They've got pressure going down both side lanes with these fire waves. Fire is dropping off in 3 seconds, getting ready for all these objectives. This is going to be kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, getting everything ready to go for the next siege, because past that 10-minute mark, this game feels like it's been almost all Warriors.
Yeah, where was that team fight on right? That 4v5 in
Yes.
solo lane. That was 3-0 for the Warriors and a Tier 1 tower. Sure, they trade down and got a Tier 1 tower as well for the Camelot Kings, but then the Oni Warriors take another fight. It's another 3-0 and another tower that goes down. Now the Oni Warriors have a 7,000 gold lead against the Camelot Kings. Full build for SoT, minus starter item. Still needs to get the gold to finish up that bluestone, but we're starting to hit that power curve that we saw from Yarkor in game number 1 on this guy. Step up around Fire Giant, spawning in here in just a few seconds. Camelot Kings the first on the scene, but the Oni Warriors hot on their heels.
And Pegon's going for either Tier 2 Pythags or Tier 2 Soul Gem. He's got no percent pen in his kit. And it's... Maybe in some games it makes sense if you have a really squishy solo. Maybe a fight actually happening here. Quick, nice peel here. Solo on the backside. Anytime huge ult.
Yarkor uses all of his relics. The Kraken's not enough to peel him out. It's SoT with the killing spree. Dives in with Panatom. Captain Twig on the run. Big man Tings trying to zone, but he might have to trade his life as well as Variety. He got zoned out for the rest of his team. Now Variety's on the run. Pagon. The full minion goes out. Variety's resustaining back in. Pagon dives, but he's got the ultimate to secure the kill. 5 in a row now for the mid laner of the Oni Warriors, and 3 down again on the Camelot Kings. It's a third 3 for 0, and it might be even more. SOT finds Captain Twig with 1 shot of damage. Twig goes up to the sky. Thunder crash in by BMT, but the Axe Toss is there. BMT uses the Aegis. Now Genetics is here to play back up. He picks up a double kill of his own. The Oni Warriors get a 5 for none and add a Phoenix to that, and maybe a little bit more. Yark is only up in 2 seconds. It's 2 alive now for the Camelot Kings. Panatom up to the sky. Titan in the throne room. Pagon crashing alongside Panatom, but Yarkor's able to get back to the mountain. The Titans are squaring off, and it's a frenzy from Twig. The rest of the Oni Warriors, they haven't grouped up just yet. There's still time to go for this end call, but the Warriors are playing it so slowly.
And slowly safe. I think this is one of those 2 safe, 2 slow calls. Titan was down to 3,000 health. You had Olarun there. Kepri was right there, both sitting at nearly full health. That's just an end right there. I think that's a little bit of a miss by the Warriors there, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a little safe, yes, but they have 3 Phoenixes down. They're going to be getting Fire Giant right now. All these fights have been all Warriors. This has not been a close game. And even if, you know, maybe we saw a potential end there, they're still in an incredibly comfy spot to actually get the win still.
This has been an 11-0 swing from the Warriors. The game started 2-2. Kings get their 3rd kill, and it's been all Oni Warriors since then. Now, left side Phoenix just respawning. Camelot Kings get a bit of time to recuperate, get some of their itemization back up, get their defenses bolstered, but not going to heal up the Titan any at this point. The Titan is taking quite a bit of damage. We were talking about Pagon and his build earlier. No percent pen in the build. Did go for the Soul Gem, not the Pythag, so a little bit of extra healing, a little bit of extra damage procs with this build.
Yeah, a little strange, I think. As I was saying, in some games it makes a little bit of sense if there's like a full damage, maybe ADC solo. But I mean, Quig's got a bunch of auras. Variety's got a good amount of magical protections. There's a good amount of protections on the Camelot King side. Including some protections. Actually, SoloOrTroll gets blinked on.
Does need a ton of damage, but revived by Genetics from max range. Captain Twig up on the tree, but I don't think he wants to commit to this. He's getting a lot of sustain back from Genetics. There's still a meditation on board as well, but SOT's just life-stealing from all of this. He was nearly dead. In fact, he basically was dead just a moment ago, and now SoT's back to full health, jumping into enemy lines once more. Stun hits Variety. Titan is down to 30%. Twig's down to 0. The Oni Warriors take game number 2.
And that's the kind of Oni Warriors game I expected. They kind of dominated that game past that early portion, and it wasn't close. It was really all Warriors. Those fights weren't very close. The objectives weren't very close. Everything about it was just Warriors.
I mean, we had a nice little 2 versus 2 on the right side. It goes even 2-2. Everybody trading out lives in that first solo bout over by Blue Buff. And then outside of that, it really has truly just been a Warriors game. The 3-0 in solo lane, plus the Tier 1 tower, that Netroid split push during a 4 versus 5. That's the level of confident play that we're more accustomed to seeing with